You may have heard that it's super beneficial to surround yourself with the English language as much as possible while you are learning the language. Whether it's watching your favorite English TV show or just listening to the radio in the background while you are doing other things. But have you ever thought why such daily listening is crucial for your language learning success, and why should you do it? In this video, we'll give you an overview of why it's so crucial to surround yourself with the language on a daily basis and how to use different tips and tricks for your benefit to reach your language learning goals. Let's start with a simple question. How did you learn your own mother tongue? Which kind of methods did you use? How many textbooks did you need to use to actually start speaking it? Did you hate the grammar lessons and the numerous verb tenses? Was it difficult to remember them? Now you probably noticed that I was being ironic. Obviously you didn't use any textbooks to start speaking your mother tongue, and quite possibly you didn't even learn any specific structural grammar while you were growing up and speaking in your mother tongue with your parents. So the fact that you started speaking it kind of just happened automatically, didn't it? But let's dig deeper. How did this automation come about? If you think about it, it's actually quite simple, because as a child, you needed to survive in the environment that you were in. Hence, your body started to acquire skills that would help you do so. So, if your parents spoke French, then you started speaking French, and if your parents were Chinese, then you started speaking Mandarin, because it was a skill necessary for success and survival. But what actually happened? It all actually boils down to a very simple process. Because when you were a child, the information that was surrounding you was mainly coming from your parents, but also from other sources like the TV, the road signs around you, everything that you see and learn in your environment. And all this information that was surrounding you started to form your language skills. Hence, step by step, you started making sense of the environment and putting together bits and pieces to understand what is going on around you. And based on that, also you started producing the language eventually. It sounds like magic, doesn't it? Here we arrive at the first key reason of why it's crucial to surround yourself with the language on a daily basis. Creating such a language environment, like listening to podcasts or videos or watching movies or specific listening exercises every day, simulates the same situation that you had as a child when you were surrounded by the language that you needed to learn to be successful and survive. Learning a language is actually a very natural progress. We have all experienced it with our own mother tongues. It was almost automatic, but for some reason in the school system and in traditional methods, the whole thing has been rendered to something totally different and quite unnatural. The fact is that if you surround yourself with the language on a daily basis, you will progress much faster in your language studies. Now, to put it more clearly and not to go too deep into the science, and to say it very simply, your body and your brain need to understand that the language that is forming your language environment is actually needed for you, otherwise your progress will be slow. To explain how this process works and why it's so crucial, I usually give the example of going to the gym, because growing muscles and growing language skills is actually super similar in its processes. Now, Imagine that you're going to the gym for the first time because you want to get into shape and you want to get some nice muscles, and you will start doing some curls with a weight in your hand. Now, what do you think? What is your body thinking at this specific moment while you are doing this? And I'm using the word thinking very specifically because indeed your body is always analyzing and thinking of what's happening in your environment and making adjustments based on that. Well, your body is probably thinking, well, that's a strange behavior. He or she has never done that specific movement before, but let's see what happens. After you finish your workout and you come back to the gym the next day and the next day after that, now, what is your body thinking now? Again, it's thinking, what a strange behavior. It's kind of new, but he or she is doing it several days in a row, so it looks like it might be relevant for his or her success in life. And exactly, that's the magic moment where we need to arrive in our language learning process and also in the process of growing muscles, that your body and your brain need to be convinced that now this new activity is something that is needed for you to be efficient, happy, and to survive. Now, when you know how crucial it is to create a language environment into your daily life, let's see what kind of tools can you use to make it happen. As you might already know, Speakly has over 15 hours of listening exercises in every language course, which open as you progress. Now, these exercises are a wonderful tool for your daily listening because, one, they are put together from phrases, sentences, and words that you have already learned in Speakly. So you will reinforce all this knowledge and you will understand the exercise better. And two, at around 5 to 10 minutes each, they are exactly the perfect length to integrate them into your daily activities. Now, we've arrived to the point that will decide if you are going to be successful in your language studies or not. It's crucial that you would select a single Speakly listening exercise and listen to it at least 5 days in a row without changing the exercise. Just listening to the same exercise, if possible, several times a day and not changing it for at least 5 days. Why? Now, in our thought, let's go back to the beginning of this video where we discussed how small children acquire languages. Now, let me ask you this crucial question. Does a small child in their language environment always hear new additional words and sentences? The answer is no. Usually the sentences and the words are quite repetitive and they are the same most of the time. The reason is that these are the statistically most relevant words that the child needs to survive and also to reinforce these words in the child's memory. There is really cool evidence and research that shows that parents even subconsciously repeat words, sentences, and phrases to make sure that the child would remember them better. But what does that all have to do with Speakly listening exercises and you learning English? Well, everything, because that's exactly what the Speakly listening exercises are doing as well. With Speakly in the study area, you are learning the language's most relevant words and sentences and phrases, and in the listening exercises you reinforce them because they are used in different forms, they are reiterated, so that you could start using these phrases, sentences and words in your daily conversations as well. Now, what happens if you listen in such a way a Speakly listening exercise for 5 days in a row? This process is actually quite magical because after a few days, 3, 4, maybe 5 days, you will discover yourself understanding most of the exercise without maybe knowing many of the words in them. It's thanks to the fact that you are just surrounding yourself with the same content every day, and eventually you will understand almost everything. Use this powerful approach for your English studies as well, and you will see a massive difference.